Welcome to episode 155 of AviaDev Insight Africa, the podcast offering a window to the world of African aviation with your host, John Howell, CEO and founder of AviaDev Africa. For this podcast, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by some old friends of mine, namely the AviaDev Ambassadors from the last live AviaDev, which took place in Cape Town in 2019. Now, for those of you who are unaware of our program, the Ambassador program has been running since 2018. And it basically was set up to offer the next generation of aviators the chance to get embedded into our great industry and find out a little bit more and meet some of the key players. So ahead of the live event, what we tend to do is we partner with a university or a local organization to run a competition. And in this case, we worked with Rafilwe Ledwaba, who runs the Girls Fly program for Africa. Rafilwe is a member of our advisory board here at AviaDev, and she's one of the most inspirational people I've ever met, who's broken through numerous glass ceilings and is passionate about supporting the next generation with their progress in our great industry. Now, the competition is relatively simple. We set a question and we ask the entrants to record a 3-minute selfie video answering that question. And then we independently look at these. We get together, Rafilwe and I, and we selected the top 3 from all of the nominations. The winners then are flown to the event. Obviously, they become part of the AviaDev team for the whole event. So they help us pack the delegate bags, work on registration, help with the microphones, and they work through the event just like us. And but along with being a member of that event team, the big moment also comes that they get to present to the full audience of aviation professionals. And the 3 ambassadors really did themselves and did AviaDev proud back in 2019. So I will put the link to that YouTube video. It is there on YouTube. I'll put that link in the show notes if you want to watch it back and see how they performed. So what we're going to do today is explore the experience. We're going to explore what's happened since the event and obviously the impact the pandemic's had on everybody's career and the way they view the future. And to do this, I am joined by another great friend of ours, Mr. John Barcroft, and I'd like to invite him to join me on the stage. If he can start his camera, that would be great. Here he is. Okay. Thanks for joining us, John.
Hi, John. Hi, everybody.
So let's get to know our ambassadors. So what we'd like to do as a starting point is just for you to introduce yourselves and your aviation story up to the point of coming to AviaDev back in 2019. So Kamotso, if we can start with you, that would be fantastic.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. I miss you all, yes. Okay, so yeah, I was busy with my flight training. I still am. I was having problems, and then I met up with Rafilwe, and then Rafilwe told me about the AviaDev competition. That's when I applied for it, and luckily I got it. So yeah, I'm currently still busy with my training. So yeah.
Fantastic. We can hear I can hear some planes in the background somewhere.
That's a good sound.
Yes.
You're definitely nowhere near me here in the UK. There really isn't any air traffic at the moment. So and we're recording on the 17th of February. So yeah, thanks for that little intro. Kay, if we can come to you.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Hey, Kay.
Hey. So yeah, by the time AviaDev came along, I had just gotten my commercial pilot's license, and I had also then acquired a quality assurance, qualification, and was just waiting. And my thing, that got me into AviaDev was the 3-minute video, which spoke about human capital investment, which I felt like was part of the reason why I was a qualified pilot sitting without, a job. And I just felt like more companies needed to invest more into their, into employees or aspiring pilots and everything. So yes, and I sent in the video and I got into AviaDev. And I must say that through the experience. The experience was awesome. I got to meet a lot of people. It opened up some doors. It gave me exposure and a bit of confidence. And yes, that was my AviaDev experience.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to help, and we'll find out a little bit more about some of the specifics. And our last but not least, our final ambassador is Shingai, who is a little bit of a veteran of AviaDev as well. So he can tell us all about that as well.
Yeah, well, the AviaDev 2019 was actually my second AviaDev. So by the time the AviaDev Ambassador program came in, it was actually, I'd already garnered some experience from AviaDev. So prior to that, I have 7 years experience working in airlines, and I actually after the AviaDev conference in 2019, I started my employment with Forward Keys. I'm working at the moment as a market data analyst, and I'm thankful to AviaDev for all the opportunities and all the doors they've opened for me. The last conference was fun. It was tiring, it was a lot of work, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I wouldn't mind doing it all over again. It's just that a pity at the moment, all face-to-face meetings are kind of suspended, but I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, I think it will grow the appetite to have these face-to-face meetings for sure. The fact that we can't do them at the moment. So what we wanted to find out a little bit more about as well is, you sort of the experience back in 2019, and obviously what happened directly as a result as well. I think would be really nice for us to hear that as well. So back to you, Komotso. What happened as a result of the event?
Oh my word! Like, where do I even begin? Like, like it made me see beyond how it's more than just flying, because now the plans I have in aviation, they're just massive. And I know some might sound crazy, but that's where it is. It also through AviaDev, I met some people, and then I've got an internship at some aviation companies. So it was great for me. The exposure was also amazing because it was the first time I even attended a conference. So it was just amazing.
Right.
Wow. And it seems to go back to the issue that Kay was just talking about as well, where in terms of investment in people, which is so important in any organization, and certainly as one of the ambassadors with John's team and with you all, working with you all, it was so incredibly inspirational to see you all develop in the way that you have. So Kay, how about you? How had you gone on to develop and pursue after the experience with AviaDev as an ambassador?
Thank you, John. Okay, so since AviaDev 2019, I must say that, I have grown immensely as an aviator. I have branched into, another dimension, whereas, initially it was just about the flying. But as I mentioned, I had done quality assurance. So what I did was then I started working as a quality auditor, and I got to learn more about maintenance organizations, compliance, so I'm now enjoying making sure that people comply with regulations, so now I am now with ESCOM. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the company that I'm working with.
Of course, yeah, no problem.
So I'm now proud to say that I'm a senior advisor for ESCOM Aviation South Africa. Yes. So now I'm the quality, safety, and security auditor. So, since AviaDev, I gained more exposure. And, in the ladder building up to where I am now, it was also based on some connections that I made through AviaDev. And, the confidence levels just shot up, because at AviaDev, we were given like a stage, that platform, and we got to also through AviaDev attend other conferences. So, a person got to network and everything. And yeah, so I feel like AviaDev 2019 was an experience really that changed the course of my aviation journey. And yes, it made me also look outside the box. And I feel like I've found a home, if I may put it that way, in aviation. And it was through that exposure of 2019, AviaDev 2019, that I realized that, hey, look, I can actually branch out and do more.
Yeah, there's been some great examples from doing our European event as well. We've had some real success stories, but one of the, and it's so great to hear that this has happened for you. Shingai mentioned it before, but he's obviously had a sort of really great start, and he's been living in Spain. So tell us about that, Shingai. Tell us about that experience.
Well, from one thing one of the benefits of AviaDev is the relationships that you make. I mean, it's not just solely for the purpose of career advancement, but also they give the opportunity to learn from some professionals who may be more experienced or may have different experiences. And if you can glean from their knowledge, it also makes you better. And as I said earlier, following AviaDev 2019, I started my employment with Ford Keys, living in sunny Valencia, and I've also managed to participate in AviaDev Europe. So I've had a taste of both AviaDev Africa and Europe, and they're vast, they're quite different in the way they're done, but really but I guess it's kind of the same, really. But they just have a different focus.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Shingai. And with everything that we've had to all deal with now with this pandemic, how would you all say, starting with you again, Kogomatsu, how would you say it's actually impacted the pandemic on your career path?
I had a sponsor, so because of that whole pandemic, I lost my sponsorship. And I also lost my internship. So that's how it affected me, because I remember last year, the whole year I was at home because I couldn't do anything. So that's how it has affected me.
How about you, Kay?
And Komoto, really, I empathize, So yeah, sorry about that. And it's a story for many aviators around the world.
Absolutely.
I must say that, well, and really, I count my lucky stars in that, I seem to have gotten work when people were losing work. And, so the experience, I'll talk about the experience part of it. So now it was also remote, so the audits were done at home and all these things. So, it tested your skill. You had to be confident. So I think it put me, how the pandemic had affected my career path is that, I was put in the deep end, and I had to trust my skills that I was still developing, and it helped me cultivate that, like confidence in what I was doing, in the system, and that's how the pandemic.
Thanks, Kay. And how about in Valencia in Spain for you, Shingai?
Well, in terms of my job security, I haven't been affected. I haven't been affected drastically. I'm not saying that to brag, but what has really changed is the way I work. Whereas I was going to the office 5 days a week from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now I'm working remotely. I'm working like for 3 days of the week. I'm working remotely. I only go to the office 2 days a week. So really, it has just changed the way that I work. And the way that I have to like manage my time, and that I would say in the first 2 weeks when lockdown first came to Spain, it did take a bit of adjustment. But once I got into the swing, once I developed some sort of routine and pattern, I've managed to I've managed to find ways to optimize my time.
And I suspect John's probably going to go in this direction anyway, but isn't it amazing how in aviation, we're all so used to crises, because if it's not one crisis, it's another. This, of course, is an incredible, huge crisis for everybody involved. But it seems that everyone is used to a certain degree, flexing in aviation, because we're sort of used to the fact that we have to do that in order to deal with a lot of the stuff that gets thrown at us. I suspect John's probably going to pursue that even further now with his questioning.
Yeah, well, I think what would be nice is to sort of take a look back now. So we've been through this process. There's a part of me that almost feels guilty, because for 2 or 3, 5 years, I was going around and I was going to universities. We were doing outreach through our AviaTev Africa Academy alongside other events. And we were sitting down with young Africans and people from Europe as well, and saying, hey guys, you've picked a great university course, you've picked a great path, you should look at aviation as a career, because every indication we had from IATA, from the OEMs, was all showing aviation is only going one way, and that means jobs, and that means opportunity, and that means traveling the world, and all those amazing things that, you know, since the birth of commercial aviation, we've only seen a known growth. And now we have democratization of aviation, or we did, where in Europe, you know, we can jump on a plane, it's very cheap, it's very easy, and we were able to see the countries. And I know Shingai had this opportunity when he was, you know, when he's in Spain as well, to go and see. So, you know, nobody foresaw the situation that we're in now. So what I'd love to know from your side is, how do you see the new aviation landscape from your perspective? And also, if you could go back and speak to the 10-year-old you, would you still pursue the same track, knowing what you know now? So Komotso, for you?
Yeah, I would. I mean, there's always a solution. There's always a way. So just finding a way to make things work. For me, like now I'm back to resume with my training. So you just have to make things work. And for me, luckily, I have an advantage because I made connections to AviaDev. So that helps a lot. So just work smartly around everything that you'll be doing.
Great. Okay. And Kay, from your side?
Yeah, definitely. I would have still pursued it. Maybe what I would have said to a 10-year-old me would be that, you know, ensure that you invest more in knowing about like electronics, you know, because it's been my thing, as you guys know, that I call myself the techno blonde. But now with the pandemic, what I've seen is that, you know, we've become so I'll say digitized, and, you know, everything is more about being digital, you know, communication and all these things. And that's how I've seen, you know, the aviation sector here, at least to the extent where I've been involved, move. So now everything, you know, as long as companies are set up, you know, on that regard, then, you know, there's not that much of an effect where losses are concerned, you know, on productivity, because, you know, meetings can still be held online, you know, with the people that are flying their EFBs for pilots, you know, communication has been made easier through this, you know, these electronics. So that's the change that I've seen in the sector, you know, and I mean, I do also appreciate it. It's like the new normal. And yeah.
It's funny you should say that, because I've had conversations with a lot of people who say, oh, we never would have done this. We never would have had this conversation across Zoom. Yeah. And I'm sort of sitting there saying, no, I absolutely would, because without technology, I couldn't have set up AviaDev in Africa from the UK. It's absolutely been a big part of how we've been able to run the event. And of course, that's how we're going to be running the event this year as well, is going to be digital, because we don't have the opportunity. And as I said earlier, I think that just means that we're going to have an even bigger appetite for to get together, and the hugs are going to be that much stronger when we do get together and we're allowed to do it. So Shingai, from your side, you know, the interesting thing with your story is, of course, you already had quite a strong aviation background before we even met. You'd worked for Ethiopian Airlines, hadn't you? So, you know, you've got a bit more experience, but how do you see sort of the current situation?
Well, I'll start by saying, look, when I look at my aviation journey from the start up to where I am now, I have absolutely no regrets. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of friends. I've been given the God-given opportunity to travel and to see places. So I'm very thankful to this industry for all it has allowed me to do. In terms of the future, I don't think we're ever going to go back to the way things are. There definitely changes are definitely coming. To what extent those changes are going to affect our industry, I don't know. And you know, a lot of projections and assumptions are out there trying to theorize, but really, you know, we will never really know the full extent of these changes. But what but I think there's going to be more of a focus on sustainability, and there will be, as Kay was saying, there is going to be more digitization, I think, in the way the industry is run. So that means less paperwork and more digital.
Definitely. John?
And well, as a legacy airline person with so many years under the belt with Singapore Airlines and British Airways and British Caledonian, I think it's really a question now of how we all flex to the new landscape that's going to appear in front of us, to a certain degree, to create that landscape by using all of this technology. Or the compliance again that you talked about earlier, that there's going to have to now be part of the picture. So we're going to have extensions in situations where we have the booking model for airlines and airports, which will include all the biometrics and the touch point technology that we need to incorporate to keep us safe from this current pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we go, I thought what would be nice is, we're committed here at AviaDev to continuing to support the next generation. We did an ambassador session at our Africa Tomorrow event last summer as well. We'll look to put something in, and we're also going to make the conference. This is one great thing about technology. The conference will be open and free for everybody to attend from their phone or their laptop. So you don't need to take a flight. You don't need to book a hotel. You don't need to buy a ticket to benefit from that. And that's what we've done through the whole year. Again, another benefit of the lockdown is the access to great information now.
It's great, John, isn't it?
Has never been more sort of open to everybody out there. And I would recommend, I'm not saying to everybody listening, they should go and necessarily check out obviously they should look at and listen to our podcasts and go on our YouTube channel, but all of that is free. It's freely available, and we're not the only channel putting it out there. So it's kind of democratized the access to education and information. So if you look for a positive, that's one. But ultimately, we need to get flying. We need to get traveling, because the continent of Africa is far too dependent. Its success is far too dependent on the success of aviation. So as a final sort of parting gift from each of you, what words of wisdom, what would you share with the next generation that are coming through, and what's your kind of words for positivity for the future? So Komotso, back to you.
I would say just have like a solid plan, know what you want, and make necessary plans to make sure that you reach your plans, because otherwise it won't work like anyway. So just make sure you get what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Kay?
Okay, so from me, I'd say be patient with yourself. Looking at my journey, everything really seems like an awesome accident that led me to where I am. So sometimes you don't have it figured out in the beginning, but as Komotso said, have an underlying plan, and just, have faith that keep moving, obviously, in your plan. And if things keep changing, then trust the process, that it's leading you to where you're ultimately supposed to be.
Yeah, brilliant. And Shingai?
I would say to the next generation, just to keep on learning. I mean, have a hunger to acquire knowledge and to learn more about your industry. I mean, when I look at myself, I started my aviation journey started more on the operational side of aviation and on the customer service side. But now I've managed to pivot and focus more on the travel technology side. Like I was saying, right now I'm working as a market data analyst. So I'll just say, just have a hunger, just have a passion to grow and to learn, and the amazing things ahead.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And final word to you, John?
Just to say, be flexible and be ready for the next change of events, and be ready to adapt to that. And I think that will lead us, as we have all really sort of said, that it'll lead us down the right path. And what about you, John?
No, well, I think I've said my piece. I think that ultimately, don't look too far ahead, I think, is also important. Learn what you can and get access. But I think that I would have had a very different attitude if I'd thought when we went into lockdown in March last year that come February I'd still be in lockdown. I was hoping, oh well, by the second half of the year I'll be able to go back to Africa and meet everybody, and we'll say, oh, wasn't that a bit of a blip in the road? Whereas obviously the saddest thing for me is to see people being put out of work and out of no fault of their own. There are businesses that are good, bad, or indifferent that have all been affected by this. So, what I'm hoping we see in 2021 is obviously the vaccine coming thick and fast, and also even distribution of the vaccine, which I think is a big issue. And then as a result of that, and in the middle of that, you're going to need to continue to provide testing, really effective, cost-effective testing solutions, because if we believe what we hear, that the African continent may not be vaccinated for another year, 18 months, 2 years, depends what you read. We can't wait that long to allow people to travel again. So there has to be some sort of system put in place, and also support from governments, from financial institutions towards the industry, because it's going to set Africa back. The opportunity is now for it to really be connected, and to, with a average population age of sort of 19, 20 years old. It's Africa's century, it's Africa's decade. It needs that opportunity to grow. So, I think it's just really nice to see you all again, and to hear that you're having success, and you'll always be part of the AviaDev family. So anything we can do for you, and I can't wait to be with you all again in person sooner rather than later. So thank you so much to each of you for taking the time, and thank you to everybody out there for watching or listening. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share it with somebody in your network that you think would benefit from having a listen or having a watch. And we will see you for the next episode soon. So goodbye from me, and goodbye from all of my guests today.
Bye.
Goodbye.